So the topic that I chose for this session is who was the Buddha? So when we look at, like what a lot of people think about the Buddha who are not Buddhists, there are some misconceptions. One of the misconceptions is that that people outside of Buddhism sometimes believe that Buddhists believe that the Buddha was a god and that we worship the Buddha. That is not the case at all. The Buddha was not a god. He did not claim to be God. He did not claim any divinity really at all. The Buddha's original name was Siddhartha Gautama, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hopefully I am. So Siddhartha Gautama was born in, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Lumbini, and it is now located in Nepal. I believe that is north of India, if I'm not mistaken. So he was born approximately 500 to 600 years before Christ. I'm not 100% sure of the date because I've seen multiple dates depending upon the source you're looking at. So some people will give one date, some people give another date. So there is some discrepancy as far as the actual date he was born. But it was somewhere between 500-600 years before Christ. And he was a normal human being, born in a natural manner, and he was a prince, and he renounced his right to, I believe he was in line for the throne. I'm not 100% sure of that, but he was definitely a prince. And he renounced that and his fortune, his money, and lived an ascetic lifestyle for a very long time. And after so many years, I don't remember exactly how many years, but after so many years, he realized that asceticism was not getting him to enlightenment. And so enlightenment was the goal for him, and he wasn't attaining it through asceticism. And so he practiced such strict asceticism that he was emaciated and close to death. And that is what helped him develop what is called the middle path, where he realized that too much asceticism did not produce enlightenment, but too much of the world, let's say, or too much addiction, too much pleasure, also would not produce the requirements necessary for enlightenment. So there was a middle path, a middle ground, and so he finally attained enlightenment deep in meditation and practicing that middle path. And once he attained enlightenment, that is when he became the Buddha. And the Buddhists use the term nirvana, which is the cessation of suffering. Now, there is a misconception of what we mean by suffering sometimes, because the physical body is still going to suffer as long as you're in a physical body. As long as you're alive on planet Earth, your physical body. So it's not just physical pain. It is more of an ability to accept the results. So when you are in this physical body and let's say you break an arm, you're going to experience pain. But somebody who has reached nirvana, even though they've experienced that physical pain, they have gone beyond that sense of suffering, that they have a sense of acceptance of their situation. So the Buddha reached nirvana, and that is when he truly became the Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama was his name. Okay, so he was, in our view, the Buddhist view, a normal human being who, through his struggles, reached nirvana, reached the end of suffering. And he taught others how to attain that through the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and not through strict asceticism by denying ourselves pleasure. So when we talk about the Buddha in Buddhism, we're not talking about a god or gods or anything of that nature. We're talking about a real human being who lived a very long time ago, who attained enlightenment. And his teaching of the Eightfold Path is what we use to try to attain the same state of nirvana, the cessation of suffering.